All right, welcome to this month's Speaker Spotlight Series. I am your host, VP of Marketing for NSA Carolinas, Alex Dumas, ha ha ha. And I've got somebody here that you're going to want to grab your pen and paper for. You're going to want to take notes. You are going to want to be present for this because our next guest believes that every leader is telling a story, whether they realize it or not. He's a keynote speaker, storyteller, and the creator of Story Intelligence, a practical approach that helps leaders use stories to build trust, strengthen morale, and inspire action. Before becoming a full-time speaker, he spent 5 years, 5 years working inside of a jail where he witnessed firsthand what happens when communication breaks down and when people lose sight of hope. Those experiences shape the message he shares with audiences around the world today. He's spoken on multiple TEDx stages. We're going to talk more about that as the interview goes on. He's delivered more than 500 presentations. He's worked with organizations like ESPN, Nike, and Hasbro Games. Along the way, he's shared the stage with popular people where you know the names: Oprah, John Legend, Stephen A. Smith, David Letterman. Okay? So you know he's a big deal. He's the creator of Impact, Morale, and Story Intelligence Frameworks. He's the author of 14 books, and he's known for blending humor, storytelling, practical leadership lessons, the way your favorite comedian makes you think when you're laughing as you're thinking at the same time. So please help me welcome in welcoming keynote speaker, storyteller, creator of Story Intelligence, Odell Bizzell. Man,
what's going
Odell,
on, Alex? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling wonderful. I got dressed up for you. I did my hair, so I am ready to rock and roll,
Hey,
man.
I did mine too.
Let's get it. Let's go. Same barber, man. So as I share all those accomplishments, and yes, you wrote it, you sent it to me, but as you hear that, what goes through your mind? Are you kind of like, who the heck is he talking about? Like, oh, you dang right, you're talking about me.
I think it's kind of a mix, you know. When you're in the speaking world, when you're trying to get audiences kind of into you, it's just I'm kind of replaying all those things that you're talking about and the different events that I was at, meeting different people, working with different organizations. So it's really humbling. It's something that you kind of hear, you forget about, and you're like, oh yeah, that did happen. Yeah. So, but yeah, excited to be here. Excited to be in front of NSA Carolinas and anybody else that might be watching, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. So I want to go back in time, right? We're going to do the whole deal, right? The origin story. Odell, speaker now, author now, TEDx speaker, leading frameworks, bringing in experts to help them blow up their businesses. But that wasn't always the case. I'm going to assume, right? You didn't pop out the womb like, Mom, I got a microphone. Let me go. Like, how did you become that guy?
No, man, I think it's all about finding out what your gift is. I believe that your gift is given to you to give to others. And so when I was a kid, my grandma always told me I was a ham. I always kind of wanted to be out in front. So Sunday school, I would be, doing the Bible lesson, and then going into school, I would be the person that would be giving the presentations and all of that. But really, so speaking never bothered me. I really just wanted to write, though, Alex. Like I really wanted to be a writer that spoke. But after college, writing, I couldn't figure out how to make it pay. Speaking, it could. And I went to NC State. For those of y'all that are from North Carolina, I went to NC State, North Carolina State University. Go Pack! And my public speaking professor, Dr. Daryl Pine, he said to me, he said, what are you doing? I said, I don't know. He said, you should be a professional speaker. And that's the first time I really heard it like that, when I was 22, fresh out of college. And so I just kind of took his directive and went forward with that. And, many years later, here we are.
That is wow. That is, first of all, thank you for telling me that. Shout out to that professor for seeing that gift in you, right? I don't know, was there anything particular, like you were just your presence through his to his class? Like, what makes you think that he saw something in you and said, this is kind of the direction for you to go?
I always told stories. And so whenever we would do presentations, I still remember the first presentation that I did in that class. It was a public speaking class. He was a public speaking professor. And so I had a basketball because I had a bad knee injury my senior year in high school. And I told a story and I like rolled the ball into the center of the classroom. Like I was outside of the room and I rolled the ball in the center. And so every presentation that I did something like that versus, most of the students were just, hello, this is me talking. And so I think that just kind of stood out because he was only my professor my freshman year. That's the thing. My freshman year, he was a professor. So he remembered me throughout those 4 years. And so I think it's just stuff like that, doing a little different. I think when we're in the speaking world, and for those listening and watching, we think that everybody knows how to speak. And we think that everybody that speaks is good at speaking. And the opposite is true. Most people have no idea how to put together a presentation, how to put together a memorable presentation. Most people don't know how to do it. So when you do anything on stage, I shout out to the legends like Zig Ziglar. When you bring a water pump and you're pumping something on stage, somebody's going to remember that. Down to me, when you're rolling a basketball in the middle of the floor, and that's your first talk, and you're an 18-year-old freshman, people remember that. So it's easy to be memorable once you get on stage. You just have to execute it.
I love that word, the execution, right? And you spoke to something really powerful about, we may think we're better than we are, but your audience will give you the feedback. Obviously, you made enough of an impact that professor stood out in his mind. You're like, okay, he sees something in you. I don't want to say he anointed you, but he could see that you're different from the rest of the pack. No pun intended, go pack. But I want to stay on this thread for a second, right? Because you mentioned this word memorable. And I think that's one of those separators from speakers that are potentially struggling. Maybe you're early in your career. You're wondering, how do I get paid to speak? What is my message? Who am I as a speaker? What's my identity? All those things. And how do we use the stage to create those memorable moments and also monetize it? Because that's the name of the game. We're professional paid speakers. So can you speak to that a bit?
For sure. I think that there's a difference between like what gives you good attention and just what gets you attention, period. And so as a professional speaker, you do have to be memorable on stage. So that is a given to be in the business for as long as however anybody wants to be in the business. You have to be memorable. But more than that, you have to be memorable off stage. And so that for me was one of the things that I had to learn. And I'm still learning to this day, because I think for most of us, most people, some people don't have the gene, if you will. Like, you're not, to use your words, out of the womb with a microphone. Most people are not like that. There are some that are, though. And so for the people that get good on stage, you think your profit is in the performance, but it's not. The profit is in the connection with the person that books the performance. So yes, be memorable on stage, but what are you doing to be memorable off stage? We have so many more distractions for the people that hire us now. We have TikTok, Instagram, and you name whatever else social media is out there. And then you have streaming, and then you have all the streaming channels, and then you have still cable, then you have sports, then you have summer vacation. You have all these distractions. And so you have to learn how to really implant yourself into the minds of the people. Being memorable that way is more profitable than just being memorable on stage.
That's a big one. I love what you say there. The profit is not in the performance. If I'm going to add my own ad lib in there, the profit is in the person, the personal connection, the relationships. As our good friend, former president of our chapter, recently designated CSP, Larry Long Jr., who says there's a difference between contacts and contracts. It's that one little word and one little letter, that R, but it means relationships. And being memorable off stage, I love for you to share Do you have a couple of tips or a couple of stories that stand out to you from somebody who maybe saw you off stage, maybe they're in your audience, and then afterwards that turned into a paid engagement, or they opened the door for your referral of some sort? Anything like that come to mind?
Yeah, there's a few. And I'll share the ones that I believe that will be most practical for people here. There's only a few ways that you're going to contact people. You're going to contact them, on the phone. You're going to contact them via email or some sort of digital channel, and then through snail mail or whatnot. So if you can do all three, that's great. But if you can choose one, try to get into their actual mailbox, because now most people aren't sending mail. And one thing that I did that made me a lot of money is during the pandemic specifically, and people are still talking about it. And as of this recording, the pandemic was many years ago. But I sent boxes of cereal. So I did a survey, a Google form, and I did a Google form, and I just asked them, a few questions, how things going, et cetera. And then I asked them, what's your favorite cereal? And then I asked them for their best mailing address, either at work or at home, to send like a token of my appreciation. And so everybody that filled out the address and told me their favorite cereal, I just sent them a regular box, not a mini box. It's a regular box of cereal. And people were still, and again, it's 2026 as we're recording this. People was like, "Hey, Odell sent me the frosted mini wheats." Like they still remember that. So now I'm thinking about, okay, how can I do that again? And so for you watching and listening, what are some things you can do that are just different? A box of cereal might cost $4 or $5. Maybe it'll cost $2, $3 to send it. So we're looking at $7, $8. You send that to 10 people, you're less than $100 in, but that person will never forget you. And so doing little things like that, that's what makes you referable. That's what also makes you a friend. And this is the last thing I'll say before I kick it back to you, is we are in the business of changing and transforming lives. That is a deep thing. That is deeper than the bottom line. The bottom line is included, but it's deeper than the bottom line. You have to do your best to be a friend to the people that hire you. I'm not saying that you got to be their best friend or BFF. You got to be in their, top 5 friends or whatever, but they have to, when they see you, and Alex, I know you've experienced this, everybody watching this experiences, you see somebody at a conference, at an association, something, they're like, "Oh, Alex, oh my gosh." That is what you want. And when you create that, getting on stage gets easier and you're more referable.
That is true, church. To that, thank you for sharing that. And as you demonstrated that, like the images come to my mind, I'm like thinking about the bear hugs. I'm thinking about just the high fives, the pounds, but like it's really those conversations outside of the room, right? We think that you get to the stage, you say your things, and then you leave, like you're kind of like the fun uncle. Like I show up, hey, all right, peace, take some pictures with me, all right, I'm out. But it's really the roots that we plant with people, right? Those memories, the selfie. You think it's nothing, but it means a lot to people, especially their names. A little bit about their story. The cereal is brilliant. That's hilarious to me because, no pun intended, I love thinking outside of the box, and that's what that's what's contributed to your success. And I'm curious for you, right, through your journey to speak, and I'm going to assume that maybe at the start, the transformation part wasn't necessarily what you were leading with, right? It may have been just something of, I'm just happy to get on stage, happy to say something, tell my story, whatever it is. Where did you start noticing that shift from, all right, this is me centered, this is me focused, because that's a challenge for speakers, to now the outcome for them? How am I going to serve them? How am I going to make a difference for this audience and for this event organizer who's brought me in?
So this is going to sound a bit counterintuitive. It's definitely when you're thinking less about your bills and more about them. So when I first started, it was all transactional to me. My public speaking professor was like, "Oh, you're really good on stage." He gave me a lot of great affirmations and all that stuff. And he said, "You can be a speaker, you can do this." And I thought, "Oh, okay, really cool." So then we start studying speakers. We start looking at people that look like us and that are, that are famous in the space. And at that time, 2007, 2008, there's the Les Browns of the world, there's the Willie Jollies of the world. Because my dad told me specifically to find Black speakers that weren't famous. he said you need to look for Black men that aren't famous, that weren't, Olympians, that weren't all that stuff, and find out where you fit in. And so, of course, Les Brown comes up, Willie Jolly comes up, Dr. Delatoro McNeil came up, and Jonathan Sprinkles, and all these guys that I saw, my contemporary Stan Pearson II. They weren't too much older than me, but they were ahead of me. And so then I went to conferences, and I saw them and other speakers, and I was like, wow, I'm saying this as humbly as I know how, I'm just as good as them. I'm just as good as them. And then I had them tell me, kid, you're pretty good. Keep going. And so getting affirmation from my contemporaries, I'm like, okay, I got it made. All I got to do is show up. Wrong. It's not what you got to do. You got to show up and build relationships. And so early on, I treated all my early gigs like one night stands. It's like, thanks for the money. I'm out, because you're going to see me and you're going to want me. That's not how it works in this business. It might work for a moment, but it won't work for long. And so once I started building some momentum. I left my job, and then it just kind of hit a plateau and went down. And I said, what is happening? I'm good. I'm still good. Like what's going on? That's when I realized, okay, these people that I saw, yeah, they were good on stage, but they were good off stage. And they would go to these conferences. They would be in the bar, Alex, till 10, 11 at night. Odell don't do the bar. Odell goes to his place, his hotel, and back. Like, that's it. Like, I don't do all that. But I saw them doing all that. I saw them hosting networking events around conferences. I saw all that stuff, and I was like, that's what it is. That's the difference. That's how they keep getting rebooked. That's how they keep filling their pipeline with other people, because once they change jobs, they refer. And so once I figured that out, that's when I said, okay, every date that I have is not a one-night stand. Every date is a relationship. It's an extended family now. Every person that hires me is a cousin. You know what I mean? Everybody that hires me is a part of, they come to the cookout. And so that transformation in my mindset really led to a bigger transformation on stage, because now Alex hired me. That's my cousin. I can't get up here and embarrass the family. Like, we gotta do our thing. And so that is really the elevation for me in my personal business.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I love how you integrated that, right? Because it's a family thing, right? They're welcoming you to their stage, their home, if you want to use that analogy, right? I'm the guest. All right, how do I become not just the guest now, but the honorary cousin? And that also means that I bring something to the cookout, right? I'm not just showing up like, hey, where's the plate at? Like, I got the foil already. What you got in the bag? I just got foil. I got my utensils. I got my bib. I got everything that I need. And now, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So the relationships, if you folks aren't catching that, rewind this, take some time, pause with, like, take some notes. Like, you're catching golds, right? You're catching gems, nuggets, all that right now. So what I'm hearing from you is that mentorship, really being observant and also applying, right? It's one thing to see, like, wow, Frank Kitchen, Dr. Will Moreland, Stan Phelps, Larry, Sharon, Delaney McLeod, they're awesome. But what can I do? Well, it doesn't mean you have to be at the bar all night. It's like, how can I create a separate experience? How can I go beyond just what I'm getting paid, or maybe not getting paid, depending on how you showed up to that stage. But what's that thing that's going to be the separator, right? That's what we're here to do, and distinguish, to be the person that stands out, to be the person that you're top of mind. Man, Odell, that's a serial guy. He was great. He took care of us. He took care of the audience. He stayed after. He showed up early. These things matter. So with that said, I want to walk down the path of you becoming a part of this chapter. Like, who introduced you to the chapter? Like, what made you say yes to becoming a member?
Yeah, so man, NSA National Speakers Association was kind of like I won't say the NBA of speaking, but there's really no other association, like the NSA. And so I remember years ago, there was a lady by the name of Valda Ford. She lived in High Point. I lived in Greensboro at the time. And so I just looked her up. We had lunch. And she said, you got to join the NSA. You got to join the NSA. And I was very young. I was in my 20s. And I was like, okay, how much is it? And she was telling me like there's the national, and then there's the kind of regional, and she was the president or somewhere in there, the Carolinas. She was like, you don't have to join the national, but you don't want to do the national. At that point in my life, I was like all or nothing, Alex. I was like, man, I got to do the national. I looked at how much it costs. I ain't have it. So I was like, well, let me just wait. And then I started seeing other people connected to NSA and the different distinctions. And I'll be honest, I hesitated for years because I was making money. And so here's the caveat that I want to add to anybody watching. If you're thinking about joining, or you haven't joined, or maybe you need to reconnect, it's like I was making money, especially in the youth and college space at the time. And I didn't see a lot of those speakers in the NSA. So I didn't really think about it like that. So then fast forward, I move, my family we moved from Greensboro to the Raleigh area. And our favorite, I don't have a gold microphone. I got a silver one. Larry Long Jr. So I go to a national NSA conference. I meet Dr. Will Moreland. I meet Larry, and Larry's like, where are you? And you know how Larry is. And if you don't know how Larry is, you'll learn if you meet him. But Larry's like one of those guys, and he's just like, man, Odell, we got to meet up, man. We got to talk. We got to do all this. And I'm like, okay. Again, I'm at the national NSA conference. And he's like, why ain't we never met? And so I'm like, okay, fine. Like, so me and Larry kind of get connected. He tells me about, local chapter. And he's like, man, you got to get involved. You got to do this. You got to do that. And I'm like, okay, man. Okay. I just moved. I'm busy. Like, and then finally, I actually, like, my national network, national membership lapsed. And I said, man, I got to get back connected with the NSA. And then I think last year or so, when our friend Frank Kitchen was there, I said, man, I got to join the local chapter, because I've been a member of the national. I was like, I got to join the national, the local chapter, and get involved. And so that's kind of like the arc of it. I'll say all of that for those that were listening and got lost a little bit. You just need people around you that are doing what you aspire to do, for the energy of it. Because you don't get it anywhere else. Nobody knows what we do, guys. Nobody knows what we do. I've been a professional speaker full time since 2013. If you ask my kids, you ask my in-laws, you ask my parents, they're like, yeah, I guess he goes and speaks. I don't really know what he does. Like, they're like, I don't really, like, I kind of don't understand it. Like, because like, I'm home now, I'm in my office now. They don't think this is work. Like, they're like, yeah, you're just, he's just on there talking. So yeah. And then when I fly out, in 2 weeks to go to my next thing, they'll be like, oh, now he's working. And so they won't understand what you do. But when you get into a group of people, you'll understand what they do. And then you'll see other angles, like, oh, they only work with school districts. Oh, they only work in the healthcare industry, or they only do this. And so it'll open your mind up, and it'll give you that energy with the surrogate family that you need.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so shout out to Larry, and he exemplifies the theme for our chapter this year, which is each one reach one. So at some point you either didn't know or weren't really aware, or maybe hesitant to join the chapter, but somebody was the Larry for you. So I'm curious, you don't have to say their name, but like, I want you to keep this in mind, like, who can I be a Larry for? Who's somebody that needs to get tapped into our chapter and plugged in? And we're talking about each one reach one. We're doing each to many right now. We're reaching many who are going to watch this and maybe be inspired by what you say. And I have so many questions that just popped up. One thing that I want to jump on really quick, because you mentioned about your work with the youth, work with schools and universities, and I'm going to say that dreaded N word, niche, and not the other one. You people like, get your mind out the gutter, folks. Niche, right? Scaling down and really going deep with an area of expertise. So walk me through that process a bit. Like what were you trying to do at the start and what helped you kind of fall into this lane? Or was this always the direction that you kind of started out in with the universities and schools?
Yeah, again, man, 22, 23 years old. What expertise do you have? Really? I mean, honestly. And this is before the 25-year-old influencer that there is now. So I didn't know who would even hear me. I mean, this is before one thing that the beard adds and a little bit of gray. I don't know if you can see it's a little bit there, a little bit of gray, and then the bald head, it adds some distinguish to you. It's like, okay, he's seasoned, he's been through something. When I first started, I had a head full of hair and no beard. So, and I actually shared a picture today on my social media, Throwback Thursday, because as we're recording, this is Thursday. This is my very first presentation, and I had baby face, hair, everything. So I could only really get paid to talk to the youth because nobody else is going to listen to me at that point. And so I did what I could in that, and I wrote a book. A book is a cheat code to expertise. So I wrote a book, and it did really well. And I was really young, so I was like the big cousin at the time. And there weren't a lot of guys that were younger than me. The challenge with that is people know you're younger. So it's like they're like, kid, we know you just graduated from college because you tell everybody in your story. So us giving you $1,500, $2,000, you should be happy with that. So it's kind of like in the niche, I had to go deeper because I really didn't have room to grow in expertise. Most people that become professional speakers that are successful, they grew in expertise before, and then they point to it and say to a company or say to an organization, I can help your employees, I can help your bottom line, I can help that. So once I kind of pigeonholed myself a bit in the college and youth space in my 20s, I had to figure out how to get paid more. And so I just wrote more books and went deeper into that niche. So a lot of the 14 books that I've written are in specific topics connected to those niches. And so then once I realized, oh, well, there's a lot of money here. Like there is a lot of money here. And people usually graduate, like people that spoke at colleges, they're like, man, I don't want to get paid 5,000-6,000 when I can get paid 10,000-12,000. So they leave. And so a lot of those people leave. And then it's like, well, shoot, I'm still here to a point. And so only recently, the last 3 years, I started leaving, if you will, like networking in different companies and different industries, because now after close to 15 years in, it's like I have an expertise. I've done some stuff and I'm better at telling my story as well. So I think like that, the niche is important for you to get started. The niche is important. And I tell speakers all the time, look in the mirror, look in your mind. That's where you find the niche. Like look in the mirror. Again, I was younger. Okay, that can help. Look in the mirror. Maybe if you're an athlete, you know what I mean? Like if you're fit, if you're whatever you see in the mirror, your skin color, your ethnicity, whatever it is, that can be your advantage to go into a certain niche. Look in your mind. What did you study? What was your corporate connection? Because all corporations, if you're a professional, there's an association somewhere where you can start, and then you start there in the niche, and then the niches are in the riches, or the riches are in the niches. So you can get known well in that niche. And then when you go to other industries, like now, when I reach out to people, they're like, oh my gosh, why haven't we heard of you before? So that's kind of the energy and the exchange that you want there.
No, I love it. And as you share it, you did something that most people tend to ignore. You have to start where you are. You have the resources available to you. It's about slowing down and really observing. Like, all right, yeah, I don't have 30 years of experience. I haven't been alive for 30 years. So how can you have that much experience? But what do I know? or what has helped me, at least in some successful spots in my life. And you have a background as a hooper, so I'm curious, how did sports, right, preparation, discipline, teamwork, all that kind of stuff, how do you see those lessons that you've gained from being a former athlete affecting your speaking career?
Oh man, an indirect and a direct correlation. So sports, I was really good, and I tell my kids this, I tell everybody this. I was really, really good until I was like 17. Like I was really good, like national good. But then everybody just got bigger, taller, stronger, and faster than me. So I went into college a little disappointed because I felt like I wasn't good enough. And so but that preparation helped me. Like when you lose in a game, you feel like it's the end of the world for a minute. Then you get something to eat. Then you take a nap or you go to sleep, and the next day it's over with. So sports helped me there for sure. Understand how to bounce back from rejection, how to adjust in the middle of things going wrong. How to adjust the game plan. All of that stuff helped. Directly, it helped me because at NC State, I wasn't good enough to play on the team. So I was a scout player for the women's basketball team. And so the women's basketball team was headed by then Coach Yao, who was a Hall of Fame coach. So I got to work on her staff for 2.5 years. Fast forward, her nonprofit that she set up wanted to do a national initiative to speak at colleges. Who did they hire to do that for the national initiative? Yeah, me. Because I've been doing it. And so then not only did they hire me to do that, to create some intellectual property for them, now because of that partnership, I'm connected with them again, and now we're going to another level together. So sports helped me directly and indirectly, just like whatever you have at your disposal will help you indirectly and directly. But the last thing I'll say, stepping on stage when they're reading your bio, or after they read your bio, your intro, it's like the starting lineup. Like it's like, okay, yeah, it's time, baby. Like, let's go. And so you kind of get that too.
Yeah, fabulous, man. So as we get close to wrapping this up, and as we are releasing this in August, you have something going on like at the end of the month. Like if you want to share really quickly, like, you have some things, some speaking thing going on.
Sister's birthday. It is literally I have a TEDx talk on my sister's birthday, August 22nd. At NC State. So it's like a full circle moment, just being able to share. And I'm really excited about, what we're going to be talking about. And I'm not going to reveal it. Hopefully you go check it out. And by the time this releases, it'll probably be about to be released, hopefully. But it's all about the most dangerous sentence one can say to themselves. And so I'll leave it there, but it goes into a lot of different things. The most dangerous sentence, the most dangerous story that you can tell yourself, all those things that kind of limit your potential, and how to overcome that. So I'm excited about it. And again, the fact that I'm going to be at NC State in the McKimmon Center, where I spent many years and met my wife and all that stuff, like it's going to be just a great time.
Well, listen, you already know I'm going to be cheering you on. Our chapter will be, and for you, the viewer, you for the watcher, I hope that you'll be cheering them on. And if you're able to be in attendance in Raleigh, TEDx, end of August, April 22nd, McKimmon Center, I don't think there's a better place that you want to be. I don't think you want to miss it. And I just want to give you your flowers real quick, Odell, because not only have you built a great business, you've impacted thousands of lives. So let's put it there for right now. It's gonna be tens of thousands, 20, hundreds, moving forward. But you're somebody who, when I met you last year at the gala, very grounded, showed up and eager to learn, eager to apply what we were learning during that professional development day. And you're somebody who is not only just an example for speakers, but a family man. I think that's the most important part, right? We sometimes think we're business people with families. Like we have this family thing we have to bring along, like the traveling band. Like, no, wife, kids, they see you, They honor you, they value you, and they know that you are doing everything you can to make their lives a better place. So I want to give you your flowers for that. And for those who are watching, we hope that you take a serious look at what NSA Carolinas can do for your business, can help you become a better speaker, and even the larger national membership as well. So with that said, Odell, as you are an 80s baby, 90s raised child, let's get dangerous. That's how we close this out, man.